Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for the Untangle Tech Talk series. Today we'll be demonstrating our captive portal application and showcasing how you can manage all of your bring your own devices that are connecting to your network. My name is Shannon Miles and I'm part of the product marketing team here and I'll be your host today. I also have with us our Director of QA, John Coffin, who will be demonstrating this application and answering any questions along the way. We also have our team, as always, on site to help answer questions, so please just send those in. Next slide, John. Thank you. So just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. If you have any audio issues, please just be sure you're selecting the correct audio preference. You can select the phone or use your computer. If you do select the phone, you will need to provide the access code. And as a reminder, this webinar is recorded, so you'll have the option to rewatch or revisit or share the video later on. And as I mentioned, we'll be answering questions throughout the presentation, so just submit those in the Q&A box, and we'll try and get those questions answered in the chat box as well as during the webinar. And as always, if we don't answer your questions, you can send us an email at sales@untangle.com or support@untangle.com. Now, before I pass this over to John, I just want to reiterate that this is a highly technical webinar. So if you're not familiar with Untangle, our NG Firewall solution or networking concepts, then I would suggest you take a look at our other series, the Untangle 101 webinar series that are more higher level topics. And you can find a full list of our webinars upcoming and archived on our website. And with that, I will pass it over to John.
Well, thanks, Shannon. So today we're going to cover the captive portal, why to use it, how to implement it, and the different scenarios that you can use it on. Some of the reasons for captive portal, if people aren't familiar, captive portal is a way of presenting a type of page the first time someone connects their device to your network. Some of the reasons, sometimes you want to give a legal notice to the network users, any kind of stipulations you have, maybe tell the traffic on this network is monitored. Couple of reasons, just kind of give them an idea that, hey, be careful on this network. The other reason is to identify the user. A lot of times you can use logins and passwords, and instead of manipulating rules on your firewall, on your policy manager, with IP addresses, you can actually do it by username. Like they can log into any of their devices and immediately they'll be sent to the type of traffic that they're authorized to use. The second part is with that, once you identify the user, you can also limit the connections by the user. Maybe they'll have more restrictions of what kind of websites they can go to. What type of, how much bandwidth they can use on the network, different reasons. So it's a good way to start, connecting with the user to show them that there's certain rules for the network and so forth. So with that, we'll kind of start looking into, so we'll start off with the legal notice. Really easy to use. We'll just take a look at our Untangle here. So here's a common install of Untangle. And we'll look at apps, and I already have the captive portal installed here. So let's say I want to do just a basic, legal introduction. You can do something as easy as, first of all, I'm going to capture my network on my LANs, which is a default rule. You just need to turn it on. And then I'm going to look at the captive portal. So in this case, I'm just going to use a basic page. And I'm going to say, welcome to the test network. Something really simple. Really, you can just put anything you want in here. And, it's really easy to do, and you can go and put it in there. So it's like, I want to look what the captive portal is going to look like. So what I'll do is go ahead and save this, and then I can do a preview. So I can say, okay, here's the text that I added. Really simple to do. Really, it doesn't require anything. Of course, it doesn't really identify the user that I have on there. So we'll go ahead and save that, and then we'll look at what it actually looks on the user side. Sorry, my echo here. For example, let's say I'm a user, I'm on the network, so I'll go ahead and go to my first page. Let's go to CNN.com, and I get my captive portal. And really it just says that I just got to click continue, and I'm just reading the text that was entered in there. Really simple, and then I go forward to where I want to go. And then if I look at my Untangle and the status, I'll notice that I have a user. And since there wasn't any login, everyone's named anonymous in that case. So I'll go ahead and log that person out. And then if I look, I get the captive portal again.
Hey, John,
Yes.
we're getting some feedback.
Oh.
That sounds like somebody else, or is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Everyone's muted. Okay, just continue on. Sorry.
Sorry about that. A couple of things that we can look at. Sorry, I kind of lost my place here. So that's really the basic legal notice, some basic messaging for the users who come to your network. Going to the next step on how to get a more evolved captive portal is we're going to actually require the people to log in and register with the area. Really, there's 3 different ways that you can create users. You can either use the local directory, which is built into Untangle, and it's really simple to use. You just add users and you say, task, and let's see, let's take that out, and then we'll put a password for it. And so now we've made a user that can log into our network. So we'll go ahead and save that, and we're going to use local directory, and we're going to use a basic login page. So we'll go ahead and apply that, and if we take a look at the user here, again, we'll go to CNN.com. So, I can't log in and else I have a username and password in this case. So I'll go ahead and type in my password, and I'm successfully logged in. So if we go back and look at our Untangle, in the sessions, we'll see that I'm actually identified as a specific person. And also you'll see that in reports. So if we see the activity time summary, you'll see the time I failed to log in, when I did log in. You can see top users. That was my initial anonymous login. Here's my test login. Again, really easy to do. And then you can also do more elaborate. You can go and use something like radius login. You can do a Google. Now, the Google and Facebook are experimental, so it does. It may not. I mean, I have not run into a case where it doesn't work. I have run into in testing, if I use the same login multiple times very quickly, like, I don't know, 20 in an hour, it will tend to fail once in a while. So like I said, those 2 are kind of experimental. The proven ones are Active Directory, where you have AD server and you want people to authenticate against their Microsoft credentials, and also you can create a radius server to have the logins and so forth on that. They work identical to local directory. A lot of people already have, especially a Microsoft Active Directory structure for their network, so it makes it really easy to integrate that in. Let's take a look at some of the more complicated ones. Let's see. Let's go back to our presentation. So again, you can identify users using the built-in directory service, or if you have a Microsoft AD set up, or if you want to do Radius for a little more comprehensive accounting. One of the biggest reasons a lot of people are using Captive Portal lately is they want to do SSL inspection. SSL inspection requires that we put a special certificate on the box so the Untangle can unencrypt the traffic going through. Generally, for most network applications, you'll actually sit down at each device and install the Untangle certificate. A lot of times that's not practical, especially with people bringing in their own devices. So what you can do, if you identify a device going into the network, let's take a look at that right here. It says, you know, what you can do is do a check for that certificate. Say, oh, before I present my page, I'm going to actually look on a person's device to see if they have the certificate from the Untangle. If they don't, I'm going to show a warning. To say, you know, you could have a warning where it says, hey, you might run into pages that say unauthenticated because you don't have the certificate installed. Or I could say, no, I'm going to make them install the certificate because I need to view all SSL, you know, encrypted connections. So if that's the case, what you want to do is make sure, let's see here, make sure your SSL inspector is installed. And then we're going to create the settings for it. So the first thing you want to do is create your own, let's see here, is make sure the certificate's installed. So we're there. And now for the Captive Portal, what I'll do is I'll say we're going to require the certificate. So we'll go ahead and save that. And now I'm going to go to, I'm pretty sure I have to log myself out. And these do time out. So we'll go ahead and, so I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see, the links are present because I don't have the certificate installed. So as a user, all I have to do is, especially if I'm running Windows, is just run the, download the installer, and then go ahead and run the certificate installer. And it will install the certificates all in the right place. And that's a quick way to get all the devices, especially that people bring in. You know, a lot of people bring home laptops, so forth. It's just a quick way to get SSL Inspector on there if you want to start inspecting all the traffic that you have in there. And then again, you know, it's just a way of bringing that together, the different parts of Untangle, so it makes it easier to use. The other thing people like to use is redirecting them to a specific site. So I'll say, you know, I really want to just redirect people to our company page after they log in. And that's a, you know, if you have, especially if you're running kind of like a, maybe like a cafe and you're running a hotspot for everyone and you have a Captive Portal to welcome them, you can actually direct them to your company webpage, so they're aware of that you actually have a webpage and so forth. So it's kind of a useful feature here. Let's see, let's set the authentication to none just to make it simpler. Again, you can use these almost in any combination. So I'll say continue. And sure enough, I get redirected to the page that I directed.
Hey,
So, go
John,
ahead.
we have a question kind of touching on that topic of taking user registrations at a high volume. Can you just touch on that? For instance, coffee shops or hotels or something that have a lot of users coming in, but only for a specific amount of time. Is there any way that they can get those registrations?
Sure, yeah, there's a couple ways, and probably one of the topics I'd had here. Oh yeah, so advanced copy pages, good timing. So one of the more interesting things is that you can actually do a custom captive portal page, and that's this feature. Now you can actually write your own, or what I recommend is taking a look at our wiki page, and we go to captive portal. And if we go down here to custom pages, we basically set up a whole list of types of pages, and you're free to download these and modify them as you wish. You're probably going to want to modify them directly for what you want. Like some of the things that people have is where you can have like a hotel. Here's an example of it, where people put their last name and thing and their room number and then connect, and would actually keep that information for you in a file. You can download it, you can change the icons, you can make all kinds of changes to that. We have a whole set of pages. Some of the people want to limit users to so many hours or so many logins. We actually have a page here, because you can write your own custom requirements inside these captive portal pages. They're written in Python, so it's pretty easy to modify those as you need. There's another one, like, if you, for example, a coffee shop, you want to just allow users and create new accounts on the fly. We have one for that. If you want people to pay for the internet at your location, you can have it where they enter they're redirected to PayPal, and allows them to pay for time on the. So we have a whole set. I mean, obviously the PayPal, you're going to have to make a few changes. You got to put your own PayPal account and and then the token that you get for PayPal on paid subscriptions, you have to put that in the code. So there's a little bit of work, but they're really a good scenario ones that you can start off with and modify those as you need them. Again, just download the page from the wiki. For example, I'll just do one right now. So we're going to do, let's say the agree. And we'll just go to our Untangle. So we're going to choose captive portal and then custom. And then we're going to select the page that we just downloaded. Obviously, you're going to want to modify it to have your logo, your information on there. So you probably unzip it, modify the information, rezip it, and then upload it here. So I went ahead and did that. So now if I go and look at our captive portal page, let's see. We have the one that we just downloaded. Again, you can change all this, the logos and so forth, the text. It's all in this zip file. So let's take a quick look here. So if we take a look at that, again, this is a real simple one. It's just HTML. It's zip right now, and then you can modify this anything you want. Some of the more involved ones, for example, capturing users, requires a little bit of Python, but again, it's pre-done. So all you have to do is modify it for your particular changes. And let's see, what else here? Restricting the number of logins, so we went on that and so forth. So let's see if there's any good questions right now. The text formatting options for the notice page, there isn't in the basic one, but again, you can download the ones from the wiki, and those can be fully modified. Let me actually show you the opening on that. And it's just straight HTML formatting. So if you want to, if you want to do kind of a really fancy notice page, just download the custom agree from the wiki, and then you can modify this page any way you want. There's just some real basic buttons that you have to have in the page. Let's see. Yeah, like with the custom pages, if you wanted to do something with like Bitcoins, if you had a payment method that you could do that through the internet, obviously you could modify any existing Capital Portal page to do any kind of payments you wanted. It's not really, we show the example for PayPal because it's probably one of the most widely used, but you could definitely modify that for any kind of payment system. You could even probably set up some kind of payment system. Maybe if you have like a customer rewards, like you should you get coffee here so often, you get free internet for 30 minutes.
Hey John, there was some questions about bandwidth management once Captive Portal is installed on certain devices. Can you just touch on that?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Another reason to use kind of a user authentication. That way you can have user-based rules instead of IP-based rules, and I can show you that. Let's see, let me install that real quick. So we'll go ahead and run through the wizard real quick. Excuse me. We'll just pick one right here. You can decide whether to have quotas or not. So now I have bandwidth control set up, and I want to make rules based on different people. Let's say, so it's going to say user task, I want to, let's see here. Excuse me. Username. So I say I'm going to use this particular user, and I want to set a priority for them. And let's say they just get very low priority. So I can limit their bandwidth going in. I can also say, I want to give this guy a quota. He's only allowed to use, let's see, the quota is going to be at the end of the day. And I only want to give him maybe 1 gig of data usage during the day that he's in. So kind of limit the amount of data he can use. And I can go ahead and save that. And so once that person logs in, they immediately get that quota. And then I can add another rule that says when the quota is out, send them to a block page. So he can't log in again. And he's done for that day. It's a good way if you want to limit how much bandwidth people use in the day. Let's see some other questions. Yeah, for like network printers and stuff like that, generally printers do not need access to the internet. So, they don't, I've had a case where people have those fingerprint based, clock-in items. And what you can do, there's some things you also can do to allow that. For example, you can add pass host. So I can say, the device at IP address so-and-so will not get the captive portal page. You can do that. Or I can say, I don't want anything going to Google DNS to be blocked. You can do things like that. Some of the times, people don't want, some of the cases that you have is like if you have an Active Directory server that it's not directly on your network, it's on the other side of the firewall, but you want people to be able to log in their computers. What you can do is whitelist the connection to the AD server by putting it in the pass server list. So there's different ways to pass things without having going through that. Let's see. Is there any way to check if a MAC address has already been authorized and updated its IP address? There's a couple things that you can do. There isn't a way to actually do it on the MAC address, but what I have done in the past is I go to configuration and then networking, and then on my DHCP server I would actually make a static address based on that MAC address. So that MAC address would always get the same IP address based on its MAC address, and that requires that the Untangle be the DHCP server for the network. You can set the size of the quota based on IP addresses. That's part of the bandwidth control system. You can base it on usernames if you're actively doing that. You can do it on IP addresses. You can also go on destinations. I've seen people limit the amount of bandwidth going to like YouTube, for example, to try to limit that. And let's see, can third-party SSL certificate bypass the BYOD issues and certificate issues? No, not really, because you actually need the certificate that is generated on the Untangle that's specific for that Untangle. For every Untangle, the unencryption key is generated directly on the machine. So you could not have a case where the same key is used in multiple places to avoid basic snooping on SSL traffic that's not authorized. Let's see, any other questions on that? Shannon, did you have any prominent questions that you had there?
No, I think you covered mainly all of them. We had a couple repeat questions that you were able to answer. So if you have any more questions, please just send them to the Q&A box since we'll be wrapping up soon. Is there anything else you wanted to show how Captive Portal works with the other applications that we have on NG Firewall, or?
No, I mean, again, one of the main uses for Captive Portal is being able to identify traffic based on username instead of IP address. It makes it just a lot more useful because it's easier. For example, if one person, this is especially the case where you have shared computers. So you can have a person log in to one computer, and then they log out, and then they need to, somebody else comes in and uses that computer. You can base the policy based on who is logging in and not the IP address of that particular box. You can actually see the usernames in the session viewer if you go over into this category. Right now we're not logged in on any of them, so it's not current, but that would propagate there. And then almost every application that has some kind of rule system, for example, firewall, bandwidth control, you can create rules based on users. So I can say test, and I can say I want to do it on username, and the value is I want to specify user, and this is the user I'm going to specify. And it's really simple to do, and it makes it where you're not worried about what device they're on. It's just strictly on who is using it. And that is about it for us.
All right, so we got some questions that came in. So does the certificate work on phones or tablets, mobile devices? I think you mentioned that earlier, but just wanted you to touch on
Yeah,
that.
the certificate works on pretty much any kind of smartphone, like an iPhone or most of your Android phones. It's just fine on it. For devices that don't have a web browser, it's not really applicable. And what you probably want to do is have those bypassed in your SSL inspector. Yeah, so some people are asking about a logout URL for the captive portal. Yeah, you can actually log out, and that is described on the wiki. Sorry, go over that. Again, you know, a lot of people don't go over the wiki, but it's such a useful tool. There's a couple things to do it. You can actually have a logout. There's a specific URL to log out on. It's right here. How can I log themselves out? And it's really simple. It's the IP address, so on the user box. And what some people have done is they'll just make a web page that allows them to log out. So in this case, you know, you just put the IP address of the box. In this case, it's this, and then the capture logout, and that would log out the user. And it tells me I have successfully logged out. And then that way, or people actually do a URL lookup on that in their logout script. So when someone logs out from the terminal or their Windows session, it automatically sends this URL out and logs that out from the session. So there's a lot of ways you can do it automatically, so there's not a lot of user interaction. If you have a specific case, definitely post it to the forum. We can definitely help you out. It's probably one of the most widely customized apps on Untangle. You can do so much with it, really, depending on what you want to do. Definitely ask about any kind of specific questions you had on the forums. We're more than glad to help you.
All right, thanks, John. I think that's all the questions that we have. So as John mentioned, the wiki is very, very useful. So check it out there for any of your questions. The forums, as John mentioned, you can ask your question, see if someone else has, asked the same question that you may have or had a little trouble. You know, we have, our engineers and everyone on hand to check that and answer your questions. Some people had questions about the webinar. Yes, it is being recorded and it'll be on the Untangle YouTube channel, and an email will be sent out tomorrow morning for you guys. And you can check out all of our other webinars, tech talks that are on all the other applications in our NG Firewall suite. So if you have some questions about how to set things up, you can check those videos out. Next slide, John. And if you still have problems, you can always take use of our professional services, whether it be installing or configuring or setting up any customized configuration settings. We're here to help, so just contact us today. Next slide, John. And we're very excited to announce that Untangle was named in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Unified Threat Management. In case you are not familiar, for those of you not familiar, Gartner is one of the world's leading information technology research and advisory companies. And so we're very excited that we were recognized in this report, and you can view their report on UTM Market and see why Untangle NG Firewall was recognized in this report on our website. There will be a link in the email follow-up that you can click to view the report as well. And one more slide, I believe, John. All right, so finishing up, here's all your resources. As always, you can contact us at sales@untangle.com, support@untangle.com, our wikis and our forums, our webinars. Next webinars coming up, we have geolocation by IP, which is a new feature that was in 12.1 So if you have questions about that or want to learn more about it, please check that out. We have a couple of other webinars coming up. And just to finish this up, Untangle can be used in a variety of industries. As John mentioned, Captive Portal is great for hotels, coffee shops, schools. It really can fit anywhere in any industry. So if you haven't already, check us out and see if it can work in your network. Thanks, John.